Picture this. You've got two of the absolute greatest football teams in the world, right? They're packed with elite athletes, millionaire superstars, legendary managers, and they clash in a match with massive, historic stakes. And how does it end? With a flying slice of pizza smacking a knighted manager squarely in the face. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. In this explainer, we're going to explore an utterly absurd moment that actually serves as the perfect defining turning point in modern sports history. We are looking at exactly why Pizzagate changed English football forever.
Okay, let's just dive right into the chaos. Former Arsenal defender Ashley Cole gave this absolutely hilarious first-hand account of the aftermath. He described the loud slap echoing down the tunnel, the yelling just completely stopping, and everyone just gawping as this slice of pizza slipped off Sir Alex Ferguson's face and rolled down his pristine black suit. I mean, it sounds exactly like a scene from a sitcom, doesn't it? But to really understand why tempers were quite literally boiling over into a fast food fight, we need to look at exactly when and where this whole thing went down. So, the date is October 24th, 2004. The venue? Old Trafford, the iconic home of Manchester United. This infamous Premier League clash between United and Arsenal would very quickly earn the nickname the Battle of the Buffet. Now, the rivalry between Arsene Wenger's Arsenal and Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United was already seen as the absolute pinnacle of English football in the 2000s. Just a year earlier, a similarly wild match between these two was branded the Battle of Old Trafford. So yeah, the tension was already baked in. But on this specific, rainy October afternoon, there was a massive, historic number hanging over the pitch.
And that number is 49. This is where the stakes get incredibly high. Arsenal came into this match riding a record-breaking, historic 49-game unbeaten run in the Premier League. People called them the Invincibles. If they could just avoid defeat against their bitter rivals at Old Trafford, they'd hit an unprecedented 50 games not out. 50! United, on the other hand, well, they were sitting down in 6th place, 11 points behind Arsenal and really struggling for consistency. Sir Alex Ferguson called this a must-win game. He was absolutely desperate to prove that United were still the top dogs, the team everyone else wanted to beat.
What's fascinating here is how this clash brilliantly highlights two totally opposing philosophies. On one side, you've got Wenger's Arsenal. They had famously revolutionized English football behind the scenes. Wenger literally banned the old-school pub team diets of fish and chips and pre-match full English breakfasts. Out with that and in with steamed fish, boiled chicken, plain pasta, and super strict bans on sweets and chocolate. On the pitch, they played this highly technical, lightning-fast game. Then on the other side, you had Ferguson's United. This was a team relying heavily on raw physicality and pure grit, desperate to shatter Arsenal's technical dominance and claw their way back to the top. The irony that this epic clash of high-performance diets and tactical ideals ended with a junk food fight in the tunnel, I mean, it's just incredible.
Which brings us to part 1 of our story, the match, breaking the Invincibles.
The 90 minutes on that pitch were basically a pressure cooker. It was incredibly scrappy, just full of aggressive, crunching challenges. Both sides were fighting tooth and nail, and the referee, Mike Riley, was under immense pressure to let the game flow without it turning into a full-on brawl. Right away in the 19th minute, Rio Ferdinand makes a clumsy professional foul to stop Freddie Ljungberg from running clear on goal. Shockingly for Arsenal, Ferdinand doesn't even get a yellow card. The tone is officially set. The Neville brothers are getting booked for constantly fouling Jose Antonio Reyes. Meanwhile, United's Ruud van Nistelrooy rakes his studs down Ashley Cole's shins right in front of the touchline assistant, and nothing, completely unpunished. But the really defining moment? That hits in the 73rd minute. Wayne Rooney goes down under a challenge from Sol Campbell, and Riley points to the spot. Penalty to United. It is heavily debated to this day. Replays totally suggested Campbell was pulling his foot away and Rooney was already falling. But the whistle blew. Van Nistelrooy steps up and converts it. Arsenal throws everything forward, trying to respond, leaving huge gaps at the back, and in the 93rd minute, Rooney taps in a second goal, 2-0. Just like that, the legendary 49-game streak is dead.
And that takes us straight into the post-match chaos. The final whistle blows, and the anger is just instant. Sol Campbell flat-out refuses to shake Rooney's hand. Nobody is swapping shirts. There are even rumors swirling around, though never officially proven, mind you, that the Arsenal players had 50 not-out t-shirts hidden under their kits. Down in the tunnel, it all completely kicks off. Arsene Wenger confronts Van Nistelrooy over that nasty tackle on Ashley Cole. Sir Alex Ferguson jumps in, telling Wenger to leave his players alone. Wenger turns to Ferguson, looks him in the eye, and says, says, "What do you want to do about it?" And then the food flies. For years, people rumored it was coffee or maybe tomato soup or pizza. Well, we actually know now, because he admitted it on TV in 2017, that it was a 17-year-old Arsenal midfielder named Cesc Fàbregas who chucked that infamous slice of pizza right at Ferguson. Sir Alex literally had to do his post-match TV interviews in a club tracksuit because his nice suit was completely ruined.
Moving into part 2, the psychological fallout.
The aftermath of this match was just incredibly toxic. Sir Alex Ferguson actually wrote in his autobiography years later that, to him, it seemed like losing this specific game, quote-unquote, scrambled Arsene's brain. Because this wasn't just dropping 3 points for Arsenal, this was the absolute shattering of an aura of invincibility. The two managers went to war in the press, Wenger called Van Nistelrooy a cheat and got slapped with a £15,000 fine by the FA. Ferguson said Wenger's behavior was a total disgrace. It got so bad that these two legendary managers, guys who basically defined the sport, didn't speak a single word to each other again until 2009. 5 whole years. But honestly, what's even more crucial is what happened to the teams out on the pitch.
If we look at the immediate standings right after the match, Arsenal is still sitting pretty in first place with 25 points. But look who's creeping up right behind them in second. Chelsea, sitting on 23 points. United are still way down in fifth. So yes, Arsenal still had the points advantage, but that magical invincibility? Poof, gone. The psychological damage had well and truly been done.
And you can see the immediate consequence of that psychological damage right here. Arsenal just couldn't regain that unbelievable consistency they had. Within just a few weeks, by December, their form totally collapsed. They went from being the untouchable league leaders to suddenly finding themselves 5 points behind Chelsea. And here's the crazy part. Manchester United didn't even capitalize on it. They stayed wildly inconsistent and actually lost to Portsmouth in their very next game. So what happened? A massive, gaping power vacuum opened up at the very top of the English football pyramid.
And that takes us to part 3, a new Premier League era.
You see, while Arsenal and Manchester United were busy bickering over pizza and mourning their lost invincibility, the entire landscape of English football was shifting right beneath their feet. We entered what you could call post-Pizzagate football. This marked a huge, definitive shift away from the really open, attacking spectacles that we all loved in the early 2000s. Up until then, the league was totally defined by this Arsenal-United duopoly. But the second the Invincibles fell, the rest of the league woke up. They started to realize that playing expansive, beautiful football wasn't the only way to win. In fact, it was quickly becoming obsolete.
So, what did these macro-tactical shifts actually look like? Well, the summer of 2004 brought us foreign managers like Jose Mourinho at Chelsea and Rafa Benitez over at Liverpool. And guess what? They did not care about the open, attacking 4-4-2 systems that Wenger and Ferguson loved so much. Instead, they brought in highly structured, incredibly defensive tactics. Mourinho's Chelsea just started churning out these ruthlessly efficient 1-0 victories. It was all built on super compact defensive shapes and coordinated pressing. English football, which had always prided itself on fast-paced, end-to-end entertainment, suddenly became cautious. It became a tactical chess match. The traditional 4-4-2 formation started to die out rapidly, getting replaced by these rigid 4-5-1 or 4-3-3 systems. Chelsea actually went on to win the league that year, officially ending the Arsenal-United duopoly and ushering in an era defined way more by tactical discipline than by emotional, high-scoring brawls.
So, I'm going to leave you with this question to ponder. Did a single flying slice of pizza truly mark the end of the Premier League's greatest era of rivalry? Now, obviously, the pizza itself didn't change the tactical landscape, but that incredibly chaotic moment in the tunnel, the boiling frustration, the sudden loss of an invincible aura, the bitter multi-year fallout, it perfectly symbolizes the exact moment the door slammed shut on one spectacular era of football while a much more structured, ruthless era took its place. Definitely something to think about the next time you drop a slice, right? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.